Hey everybody, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I am Matt Connarton, and of course to my right is the most honorable and newly shorn Gary S. Hopper.
On my own.
Gary is singing. Gary's showing off his pipes.
Oh, Matt!
I didn't want to interrupt your song. It sounded beautiful.
Tonight we have Carolyn and Rhonda from Connarton. What? Bronda.
That's an unusual name.
That is unusual, but it was close. You got to say I was close, right?
You were.
It rhymed.
Yeah.
Right?
And both have vowels and consonants.
I just figured we'd straighten it out from the beginning.
Okay.
So I'd be comfortable.
That's a good policy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just screwed up. It's like the first show of 2014. I screwed up wicked bad.
I know, and we talked about that.
I don't know if I did. Should I just give up right now?
No, because it's already 4 minutes in. You gotta, if you're gonna give up, you know the rule.
I gotta try to pull it out.
It's got to be in the first 3 minutes. Yeah, otherwise you're committed and you're stuck here for the whole show.
I forgot about the rule.
I know.
We do have rules that we have to stick to. Hey, so I gotta go over the legislative stuff first. What do? We spent, I don't know how many hours. It was relentless talking about expansion of Medicaid, and so like I said, it was a lot of hours in the legislature today talking about expansion of Medicaid, and the Democrats did get it through. The Republicans fought it on the basis. The thing is politics is strange because we fight it on. We come out and say we're against this because of A, B, C, and D, and it's usually not really authentic. And this goes both ways. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democratic thing.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, Republicans don't like the idea of expansion of the federal government into the state of New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
So we don't want expansion of the Medicaid into New Hampshire because that's just more federal intrusion into the state of New Hampshire. The other time, if you look at financially, right now, if it went through, there would be a bunch of money coming from the federal government into the state of New Hampshire, and that's how the Democrats sell it. But people forget it's not the federal government's money. It's your money that you send to Washington, D.C., and you get 60-something cents back from the government, and all of a sudden they're giving you something.
Yeah. Well, plus with most, and this is something I learned from doing the show with you, in a case like that, that's only temporary, right? What the federal government gives us, and eventually we're on the hook for that. Is that how it works with this? Well, or does it depend on? It
depends on what depends on what they do, because the issue is that a legislature cannot bind a future legislature. So that legislature that's in Washington D.C. now can say we're going to fully fund. Excuse me. We can fully fund. If you start this program, we're going to fully fund it. Don't worry about it. The next Congress comes in and says, stupid, we're not going to fully fund it, and you're on your own. Okay, and that's what they've done. If you look at your city and town's budget on special ed, the federal government said they were going to fund a huge portion of that when it started. Now I don't know what the percentage is the federal government actually funds, but it's very, very small.
So I guess that's where the phrase "unfunded mandate" comes from.
The federal government does unfunded mandates all the time. Yeah. So going to bed with them, you better be willing to wake up in a very awkward position.
It's quite the wow, Gary. It's quite the metaphor.
Yeah, it's quite appropriate.
It's creative. I like that.
Good icebreaker.
Yes.
So that's what we spent almost all day on. We didn't get to legalization of marijuana yet. That was on the table. Well, it was supposed to be on the agenda today, but we never got to it.
Are they going for full legalization or decriminalization?
So.
Full legal?
No,
really?
Full legalization.
Wow.
This is the thing is in the legislature, anybody can introduce a bill. So we can have one bill one day that says decriminalization, and then the next bill another day that says to make it legal, and then the next day something about. And the libertarians, I swear, the libertarians, all they care about is legalizing drugs. If we legalize pot, okay. About 70% of the libertarians in the state will start getting so high they'll forget about running for politics.
Well,
is that probably not something people are going to agree with, but that's my thought. Is they're going to be doing so much ganja, they're just going to forget to sign up to run for state rep. They'll forget to sign up to run for this, and they'll just sit around. So maybe I don't know.
I had Aaron Day on my show earlier, and by the end of the show, I was high just from talking to him.
Right, but that's what it's like they get involved in politics. Can you imagine getting to a point in your life, you're a grown person, and you're getting involved in politics because you're passionate about it, but the one subject you really care about is getting high.
Well, who says stoners aren't motivated?
Well, that's why they're motivated.
See?
As soon as they can do it legally, though, they'll lose their motivation and they'll be gone.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So there's a really good, because some of them have good ideas. So
they'll have come in and used your party, and then they'll just
they're gone.
leave.
They're gone. It's it's like we'll go back to that sleep with metaphor. Anyway.
Yes.
So I'm probably gonna get flack for that.
Gary, if you haven't gotten flack yet for some of the things you've said on this program, I think you're in the safe.
I'm pretty
you're in the
safe.
safe zone.
So anyway, ladies, CareNet is right down the street, and so what is your organization? When did it start? Let's start with that. When did it start? When did you guys get going?
1985.
85.
We've been there a long time.
Yep.
We started working on it in probably 83, but yes, we opened our doors in 85.
Yeah.
And we're a nonprofit. We're a life-affirming organization, mostly Christians who care about life.
Life-affirming sounds nice, but it doesn't. What does that actually mean?
We are there to introduce and sometimes encourage, on some level, women to make life-affirming choices when they're in crisis.
Okay.
And that could be anywhere from a pregnancy to homelessness to even lifestyle choices.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, so it's not necessarily just about
I
pregnancy.
thought it was just about
Mostly,
pregnancy.
that is the premier thing that we do.
Okay.
And that's why I would say most of our
But we
clients
develop relationships, and once we have the relationships, then we help them in other areas of their life.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
As peer counselors, we don't
Yeah.
claim to be experts in any of these areas. We
Right.
we have we give a lot of referrals.
You don't realize how ridiculous that is? That we're getting to it. We're so litigious in today's society. She has to put a disclaimer on there to say that we're not experts, because there might be one person out of 5 million that got help, but then said, "Well, they told me I should do this, and I did it, and it didn't work out."
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Well, that wasn't my intention, but
Yeah.
But
But
But Gary
honestly-
sees things from every angle.
I
But
guess so.
honestly, it's more effective for us to be peer counselors.
Yeah.
Because the women feel safer with people like us, where we are not necessarily professionals, although some of us have some degrees. It's not that we're not educated, and we certainly are well trained, enormously trained over time. But no, they like that we are peer counselors, that maybe we can relate to them.
Right.
Sure.
We're not coming in from above and telling them, we're coming in to hold them up.
right. Yeah, because some of the ladies that I've talked to over there that work there have had similar experiences in their lives and gone through it. So it's not, holier than thou.
Right.
oh no.
So that's actually cool. So in '85 you started out
Yeah.
just working with young women that were basically in distress. And how did that evolve from? And was that in Manchester in
Yeah.
'85?
Yeah, we were on Elm Street.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, right across the street, probably 900 and something Elm Street, 940 or 911, or
Okay,
right
okay.
over there. How did that? Say that again. I'm sorry.
I can't repeat what I say 'cause
How
I don't
did it
remember
evolve
what I say.
from 1985 to now?
Oh, it's evolved a lot. In fact, I just had a counselor come in today that we haven't seen in 20 years, and she was like, wow. We started out very simply. We were there with free pregnancy tests because that was in the days when you couldn't buy a pregnancy test. You had to go to the doctor.
Oh, okay.
So that was our first thing that we did. We were crazy busy with that because going to the doctor for a test
I
was
thought all he
expensive.
did was kill a rabbit or something. Back
Well, I
then.
guess it wasn't quite that archaic, but yeah, no, they were urine tests. We didn't kill any rabbits.
Yeah, you're thinking like more 1980. This was 85.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
It was the year of the stork.
Yeah, I think that the urine tests were.
I just
pretty
remember
good,
when I was
yeah.
growing up, was always the rabbit
Yeah.
died, and that was not a good thing.
No, well,
That-
it's
well, it
what
could
they
be a good
did.
thing,
It's how
but-
they did it, right?
Yes.
Now they are able to do it more simply and cheaply.
Yes.
And
yeah,
better for the rabbits.
But we started out with that, and
That's where they get all the rabbit foot
yeah.
back when I was
Is
growing
that
up.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good thing people were having kids.
I know.
Otherwise,
right?
there'd be no rabbit.
Exactly. Sorry.
I think he inhaled some of that pot at the meeting today.
That's what everybody says, because I get a strange sense of humor, okay? I really do. It's really bizarre.
I didn't notice.
People
Did you
say
notice?
that all the time. They think I'm high and stuff, and I really don't. I don't do drugs. I can't imagine how much worse I'd get.
Here's my disclaimer. I did not say that Gary Hopper smokes pot.
No, but you wouldn't be the first, let me tell you. Disclaimer or not.
But you know, when we did the first simple thing,
Yeah.
we found that their needs were huge. Our mission statement says that we try to address the problems that drive a woman to have an abortion. So if you're going to address those problems, you end up addressing lots of problems,
Right.
lots of issues in their lives that drive them to that push them in that direction, because it doesn't just happen. People just don't choose abortion because it's a kick.
Right,
They
right,
choose
right.
it because they have pressures and they have deep
Well,
problems.
yeah, but the fact that, even before that, the fact that they're distressed enough to end up getting pregnant inadvertently, so to speak, usually is a sign that something else is going wrong also. It's not, the pregnancy is like more of a symptom to a
Can be.
greater issue, mostly, isn't it?
Can be. Well,
Can be, not
well,
always.
Not always.
Accidents happen.
We
always.
say in our training that anybody can have a crisis pregnancy, even a married woman.
Right,
She
right.
wasn't planning it.
Right.
But there certainly is something to be said for the fact that because of the sexual culture that we have, there's a whole lot more opportunity because sex has been removed from commitment. It's been
Right.
removed from marriage. It's been removed from those wonderful institutions that protect it.
Isn't there? I was surprised to learn this, but isn't there some good news recently in that arena that teen pregnancy is down, and also too, according to the polling, teens are having there's fewer teens starting sexual activity at a younger age now. So there's been some good news lately.
I have heard something. I don't know where, but
I don't think we're seeing that.
Really?
But,
No.
it may be, nationally that may
Yeah.
be true.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I
we're
mean,
pretty busy.
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah. I mean,
it-
you're going to be no matter what, but
Is that
I don't
good
think we
thing?
see as many young people, though. I have to say, we're not seeing 15-year-olds like we used
Yeah,
to, and
that's good.
16-year-olds.
That is really good news,
Yeah.
actually.
But
yeah.
it only takes 20 years of some behavior for somebody to sit back and look at the whole picture and go, this wasn't working out. This is not working out.
No, this isn't such a great
so
idea.
maybe kids are just getting wiser
Yeah.
as well as their parents are.
Well, I think it could be. It could be a function of people don't have as much money to actually go out and do things like they used to. They don't have many occasions to, because when people are got too much money, they also do stuff they shouldn't do, like having these big lavish parties where things go wrong, and
yeah, you can engage in a lot of irresponsible behavior
Yeah.
when you can afford to
when
do
you
so.
afford to do so. But
Yeah.
if you can't afford to actually get the gas to go to the party, then
Right.
your
Well,
opportunities for doing stupid things. go
Sometimes
down.
the consequences of behavior, though, begin to dawn on you. You
Right.
know, when I don't know, I don't want to quote stats here and be wrong, but it seems to me as though 1 in 4 teenagers has an STD.
Right.
I mean, who wants to have one of those,
No.
And, 1 in maybe 5 teenagers will become pregnant before they're 19. So,
1 in 5, really?
Before 1 in 5 before they're what?
before they're 19.
You said that's down from what?
Well, that's what it used to be.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's down. Maybe it's because that's a pretty heavy-duty consequence
Yeah.
for that
Oh,
many
yeah.
kids to be experiencing this kind of crisis. Yeah, it's discouraging to them.
Sure.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
as it should be.
Yeah.
But in regards to our services, when somebody comes in a crisis, we mentioned that we're life affirming. It doesn't mean that we don't provide each client that's in a crisis with all of their options. We give all the facts about abortion procedures and any risk involved to the clients so that we understand the decision is theirs and we're there for them with whatever decision they make.
When you're offering this information and kind of educating them on their options, are some people surprised at the possible range of options available to them, or are they, when you're talking about the consequences of abortion and some of what can happen, do you find that a lot of these women are surprised by what they're told, or?
I think a lot of women, when they come in crisis, they just want to know how to get rid of this problem that they're in.
Yeah.
And they realize that there isn't an easy answer,
Okay.
that the 3 choices they have, which are adoption, parenting, or abortion, they're all difficult and they're all life-changing.
Sure.
So I think that they're surprised that there isn't an easy option.
Okay.
That's what I think is the biggest for them.
I'd say so.
Yeah, because do do you find that women that come in and nowadays, possibly because of the culture, presume that abortion is like quick, simple, and easy, and that it's all done with, and nothing ever is no consequences, or you know
Sometimes.
what I mean?
I think sometimes they do. And sometimes we see women after they've had an abortion that are suffering from their abortion, and we're able to help them
Right.
with other programs that we offer. So
That's actually really cool, because I know I've met quite a few women who have opted for an abortion because they thought it was going to be, it would just be a simple procedure. You go in, it gets done, and then you forget about it and go on your merry way. But I don't know a lot about the physical ramifications of that decision, but I know emotionally the people I have met after the fact have been, it wasn't that simple, and like you say, it was life-changing regardless of what they decide. It's still life-changing, but the women didn't understand that prior to the abortion.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Absolutely.
There can be physical ramifications too,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Some women they have an abortion and then they find out later they can never have children, or
It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Yeah, there was a lady. I was at a church supper, and I met a woman there that was a nurse at a hospital, and one of the physicians there, or the surgeons there, his daughter had an abortion at the same hospital early in the day. He went home, and his about midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, his daughter was crying and asked for him because she had the abortion, but she couldn't stop bleeding. And she almost died on the way to the hospital, and he didn't even know she had an abortion at the hospital where he was working because of the way the laws are. They're not required to tell them.
Yeah, I remember that example coming up when we talked about parental notification on the show. Yeah.
I think it's important to note, though, that that's very rare. I don't think that this is a common occurrence, or that we don't want to scare people into thinking that, this is what happens when you get an abortion. It certainly can. It's a surgery, and there's risk involved in all surgeries, including abortions. And we let our clients know that.
No, I mean, I went through eye surgery a while ago, and now I can't even see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the pot.
Wow. Twice.
Hey, you fit in well here.
And I've never smoked pot. I've never smoked it, so.
No, that's what Rodney Dangerfield didn't smoke. He just liked the way it smelled. Right?
Yeah.
I've been known to walk up to someone and go without actually
Just check to
smoking
see if the aroma was...
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bronda's been involved with CareNet for 3 decades, so when you talk about the evolvement of, she can tell you about all the different services that we have now versus what we had way back in '85.
Okay.
Yes.
I can do that. I'll do it fast.
You don't have to do it fast.
Well, we
got
went
plenty of
from
time.
we
got
went
time.
from the pregnancy test because that's sort of the entry level. In those days, women just needed to know if they were pregnant. There was no conversation to have until they had that confirmation.
Now, what year was that?
1985.
Okay, so that was when the abortion actually was starting to get really...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was, yeah.
Because back before that, when you go back to, say, the 70s or
Right.
60s,
Yeah.
most of the people getting pregnant were married, so it was tended to be...
There's always been crisis pregnancies.
Oh, yeah.
But they were
always
shipped
has.
away to other
Yeah,
states and stuff.
I'm a crisis pregnancy. I'm adopted, and that was
Okay.
1949. So,
Right.
yeah, it's always been there. But what society does with it and how they respond to it has changed greatly. I mean, when I was born, it would. I'm sure people had abortions illegally,
Oh,
but most
absolutely.
women in those years, I know the Catholic Charities reports that there were 1 million adoptions in a year.
Right.
Well, it's interesting now that there might be 50,000,
Wow.
but there's 1 million abortions. So we're tracking about the same. We're just doing it differently.
Oh, so you're saying that basically the number of
Crisis
young
pregnancies.
girls getting pregnant
Yeah.
is still the same, but instead of having them and having them adopted, now we're okay.
Yep. And so we're responding differently. And part of what...
Okay, just to back up, because
Yeah.
you know the history of this, I'm curious. When it was 1 million adoptions, how well did that work?
I'm here.
I know, but
And we're glad.
Yeah, yes.
How did it work?
Yeah, well, she's the only one that's not accusing
Well, there
me
were
of being a pothead,
agencies.
so I'm
Yeah.
glad you're glad you're here tonight. But when it was 1 million, were there plenty of homes for these kids and stuff like that? Because I know if you look at society today, there's huge quantities of people that are looking to adopt kids, and they have to go to, China or Romania and places like that just to get children to adopt.
Well, and so there are people who are wanting to adopt, as always have been, because
Right.
there's always couples that are unable to have children. So, but if there aren't babies, and we're 1 million short every year, 1.2 million short every year, then there could be, I don't know for sure, but there could be 1 million people out there waiting or hoping. And so they do go overseas.
Yeah.
So
if
we're responding differently.
So why don't you, instead of, because you guys are nonprofit, right?
Correct.
So if you could sell those babies.
Well, we can't.
We can't.
And they aren't giving them up.
What's happened to capitalism?
I don't know. It's
Right?
maybe there's some paperwork like a waiver people could sign or something.
Yeah.
It isn't you know what? It's the transaction within the woman, though, that is the issue here. Because there would be people who would sell, would facilitate adoptions. That's all available.
Yeah.
But we find that it's very rare for a young woman to want to release her baby for adoption.
Once she
seems
has
simpler.
it, that's it. Basically.
Once she has it, she has it. But then there are those that don't want it, and abortion just seems simpler.
Okay.
And on some levels, it is. It's simpler. It's shorter lived, if
Sure.
you know what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
But because
And it can be hidden.
Sorry, Bronda. Yeah, that's right. And because of our sexualized society right now, a lot of the young people that come in are trying to get pregnant. You know, they're still in high school. They don't have their licenses, and they want
They're
this
trying to
baby
get
love.
pregnant.
Oh yeah, some of them want to have families, and they think this is the answer, and they don't understand the long-term ramifications of what they're doing. Kids having kids is not ideal. Or kids raising kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't ideal.
Well, that stuff's
Doesn't mean
been
they can't do
glamorized.
it.
It's been glamorized.
It
too.
has
Some
been
say
glamorized.
like that that MTV show. What is it? 16 and Pregnant. Is that
Yeah.
what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Well, they're looking for significance.
Yeah.
And so it's sad. It's not evil. It's sad.
They're
It's
looking for
right.
it's
actualization.
tragic, really. And so we deal with all of that. It's not simple. It's never simple. And our thing is to listen to these gals, listen to their hearts, listen to what they're thinking and what their fears are and what their pressures are, and try to solve some of that with them.
Without judgment.
Without judgment. We're not judging anybody. We understand that the choice is out there, and for some women, that's where they're going, and they come in with their minds made up. But that doesn't change how we treat them or how we speak to them. And we got to let them go, because it's their decision, not ours.
Right.
All we can do is educate and try to do it with excellence. Educate and encourage them to think it through and to take their time. This is a life-changing decision.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. And we try to do it with grace. We want to be a safe environment, a very safe place for women. And I think we are. They come back, they thank us, even after having an abortion.
They do our marketing for us.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Word
really?
of mouth.
Oh, yes.
Word of mouth is the
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah.
comeback for us.
Now, first you started on Elm Street in '85, and
Yeah.
I know you have one in Nashua, correct?
Yes,
Where
on Main
else?
Street. We just have the two for this ministry, but there are, I believe there's 9 CareNets in New Hampshire.
Oh.
Okay.
We're
'cause, yeah, 'cause
affiliated
I Googled-
nationally, but not
Okay.
locally.
Oh, you're affiliated nationally. Is it all pretty? If you go to like a CareNet in California, is it likely going to be pretty much the same setup and
Similar.
a similar type of
Yep.
approach to try to just help
Yep.
people that are in need? As
The
opposed
approach
to,
will be the same, but the building might look very different, the budget might be very different.
And the services might
The
be different.
services could
Yeah.
be different depending on the funds they have.
right.
Yeah.
So, what type of services do you provide besides obviously you have counseling? What other stuff?
Well, we have the post-abortion that I mentioned. We have parenting classes. When we have clients that have decided to carry, we can help them get ready for being
You mean like
moms.
carry like as an epistle?
Gary's very.
Carry to term.
Gary's very gun centric.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Somebody says they're carry, and I'm thinking, 45, 9mm.
No, but in our country right now, I think it's still legal if they want to, as long as they get a license. We this year we implemented a practical fatherhood so that we're now wanting to help the dads. A lot of our dads have not had role modeling before them.
Yeah.
And so we have a great 10-week curriculum where they can come in and learn how to be a good dad and what it takes to be a good dad.
That's actually one of the things that I have noticed in my legislative years is one of the largest problems we have in our country right now is the lack of dads. Okay, if you look at most of the violence, most of everything, you could look at the quantity of people in prison. You could look at there's nowhere you can't look where you see the effects of so many young boys growing up without a dad in the home.
Right.
Yep.
How many men are actually willing to? Because it's probably not considered macho to be a dad anymore, and I think it is. It's actually the most manly thing you can do. But in society, that's not what you see on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Men are supposed to be, tough and rugged and have tattoos and go out on their motorcycle and that's me. But except the tattoo.
I was gonna say you have tattoos.
I don't have a tattoo. Yeah. No, I was gonna get.
A lot of good dads have tattoos.
No, I was gonna get like SpongeBob.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you can because you're if your kids are grown, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You
Exactly.
Can go ahead and
But anyway. So society has glamorized the independent guy who plays video games and does stuff like that. Anything other than actually being a dad. When they portray a dad on TV, he's usually kind of unisex almost. It's not considered a manly thing to do. So and it's a shame. Like I said, I think that's the most manly thing you can do is be a dad, because that's what you're supposed to do. How many is there a good percentage of guys that are actually willing to take the time to learn?
Absolutely. We have, I think more and more guys are starting to come to CareNet. In fact, we've had people walk through our doors or call us up, just men saying, I need help, and we help them. So,
and now these single dads
single dads that are raising their kids, sometimes their significant other, their baby's mom is in prison, and they're the ones that are raising their child, and they want help. They've heard that we help, and so they come and they go through our fatherhood curriculum, and they earn these virtual dollars or mommy bucks that we have so that they can get some baby items for their child to help them out financially. So I think a lot of guys want to be good dads. I just think they don't know how to be.
Right.
And so I think that's what we're there to give them, maybe a stepping stone in that right direction, to say, hey, here's some ideas for you.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not the only resource, but we're certainly one. And what's nice
I
about us
actually
is that we're free.
Yeah, I never heard there was even any resource, so that's pretty awesome, because I there's got to be a lot of guys out there, young guys, who are sitting there with like a 1-year-old going, okay, now what? You know what I mean?
Right.
And part of how it evolved, you used that word, we became medical about 7 years ago, where we are able to provide limited obstetrical ultrasound to the women.
Right.
So they can see what's going on and find out how far along they are, find out if they have a viable pregnancy before they make a decision. Maybe they don't even have to make a decision. So, but what has been happening is they bring their significant other to the scan, and we're watching these guys bond.
Right.
And normally a man doesn't get that opportunity. A woman will bond quickly with her child because of movement and physical changes that are very obvious to her. But for the guys, sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind till birth date. So they come in and see this little tiny image on the screen that's moving, maybe even waving, jumping around, and they go, "Oh my goodness,
We've
I'm
had
a
men
dad."
weep. Yeah, they've wept.
They just cry,
Wow.
some of them.
Yeah.
But that's
Do you
the
slap
beginning.
them?
No.
No, I'm just thinking that's what you should do.
Right. If you want them to be manly,
Yeah, exactly.
bunch of wusses.
Well, I'll tell you
cry.
what, the manly
know, right?
thing, the manly thing that happens though is they become very interested in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's what the girl needs more than anything.
Right.
The woman needs that. In a marriage, that's going to happen. But when you don't have the benefit of a covenant like that, there's no telling what he'll do. He might leave, he might stay, he might get involved, he might not.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't start getting involved, the problem is that guys tend to, it's like they don't know what to do, so they're inclination is to just, I'm out of here.
Yeah, to run.
Yeah, we won't even ask for directions.
Yeah.
No, we don't even ask directions.
Right.
No,
But in their
nothing.
defense, that's probably what their dads did.
Right.
So, that's just what they know. However you're raised is your norm. And so we have to tell them that their norm isn't necessarily the right norm, and that there's a different way to go that's better for them and for
break
their
that
children.
pattern. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Break
know.
the cycle and become the stand-up dad that you didn't have.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're very proud of them. We've watched, I would call it transformation.
Absolutely.
Happen with these guys. They come in kind of not knowing and not knowing what to do, and before you know it, they're making great decisions for themselves and their little family. And some of them are getting married, and it's
What do
really
they do
very
when the
rewarding.
baby comes out there? Because the babies come out, they look really like aliens.
Yeah.
So the guys go, oh wow.
But it's their alien. So it's
It's
okay.
their alien,
It's
so
their
it's
alien,
okay.
so it's
Yeah.
the most beautiful
Okay.
alien they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because my daughter just had a baby a few months ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do it.
Well, we don't know what goes on and where.
So, and that's what everybody said. The girls, like at church and stuff. Oh, he's so cute. No, not really. I mean, you look at it, it looks really like if you had like antennas or something, it'd be like,
Yeah.
No, you guys don't see
You
that.
should hope that they think that's cute, because when you're really old, you will look like that, and you'll be really
It
cute.
comes full circle.
It
Gary.
comes
Oh,
full
that's
circle.
true. Yeah, we end
Yeah.
up looking
Wow,
like aliens.
I didn't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about that.
But back to CareNet, in alignment with the Father program, I would like to say that we also offer relationship course, so when the dads are involved, we can help them have a healthy relationship moving forward. And if the dads aren't involved, we can help the women understand what it takes to have a healthy relationship, so that she maybe isn't looking for the wrong guy again. Because if the dad's out of the picture, she didn't make a good choice to begin with.
Correct. Right.
So, these are some of the other services that we offer, and we're, these are our latest.
How do you? Because that's actually, I think, almost typical. A woman will tend to be attracted to the same guys do it too, or the guys are attracted to the same girl over and over. How do you break that cycle? Because that's what they do. They tend to want to be attracted to the same guy. There's something about a guy that is like a woman who's abused. Will tend to be attracted to another guy that's abusive, and it's
he's taken
it's
her
almost
self-esteem.
mind-boggling.
He's taken her self-respect, and that's all she knows at that point.
But what I'm getting is how do you is there a technique to break into that and say no?
I don't think there's a technique. I think that what happens, at least at the center for us, is that once we've built a relationship with our clients,
Yeah.
and they know, like, and trust us, they'll hear the information and they'll receive it, and they'll understand that, well, maybe if I try this. For example, I had a client go through our relationship course,
Yeah.
and a few months later, after she had completed it, she called me up sort of in a panic. And I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I'm starting a new relationship and I just want to make sure I do it right. Can I come in? Can we review it?" That was, wow, this is
Huge.
awesome. That's what we want. We want them to really take notice of who they're dating and what steps they're going to take while they're dating. It isn't just meet someone, jump in bed, hope you don't get pregnant, and if you do, deal with it. There's a whole lot of steps to a relationship. And a lot of these girls haven't really been in a relationship, but they've had sex.
Right.
And they're two different things.
Did the
Just in case you didn't know that, Gary.
I was going to start telling jokes about that, and I said, "Nah, I'll leave that one." I was showing great restraint.
Yeah.
That's always the first time.
There is,
for
right?
you.
Oh yeah. Until she said that, now I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, now you're kind of torn, right?
No, is it difficult for young people to start to get that idea that there is a difference between jumping from bed to bed and actually having a relationship, and what the difference is? And I mean, because that's all they see on TV is bed to bed. I mean, if you watch that that TV show Friends, I mean, that's all they did was the only difference between one episode to the other was which one they were sleeping with.
Yeah, it was pretty incestuous.
Right.
I think that it is difficult because we're a sexualized society, but I think some girls that we see really want to turn their lives around. They realize it's not working.
Yeah. They come up empty. They're not getting what they thought they were going to get from it.
Right.
So.
And sometimes we're the only people that have ever stopped to hear them and to listen and to not judge them for what they've done. You know, no matter what you've done, it's okay. Today's a new day. Let's move forward. You can't change your past, but you can certainly change your future.
I think that's what a lot of people do is they cripple themselves with their past.
Right.
You know, they make a mistake, or, you know, in my case, I haven't made any mistakes, actually, but theoretically I could have.
Right, yes.
So if I had, I would just be always dwelling on that and not what's going on in the future.
Right. Right.
Well, you can learn from your mistakes,
Not me.
but,
no,
but
yeah.
not beat yourself up.
Yep.
I mean, there's a difference between learning from them and moving on and
Yeah.
beating yourself up over them because,
Right.
you can't change them. I mean, for most of us, not for you.
No,
Gary,
not for
you.
me.
Yes,
No,
yes.
no. I'm beyond that.
Yes.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
I know.
Actually.
Yes, I know.
Well, I've been a crisis pregnancy counselor at CareNet for about 7 years, and I have to say that as much as I've seen, as a 30-year veteran, our executive director, Bronda, is probably seen it all, and she's been a wonderful mentor to everybody that walks through our doors. When somebody decides they want to come volunteer at CareNet and have to go through this really rigorous training in order to be a peer counselor there, we couldn't have anybody better than Bronda at the helm, seriously. And I think that's what makes us so great, is having her experience and her wisdom and her real love for this ministry that we do, and for every girl that walks through our door. We're very blessed, and the girls that come through our doors and the guys are very blessed as well.
Well, I think it's just it's a function of finding out what God wants you to do and just doing it.
Yeah. And that is the foundation. Although we don't shout it from the rooftops that we are Christians, because then no one would come.
Right.
Well, people wouldn't come because they have their impression about where we're at. But we try really hard to walk it out like Jesus would. We try to love people, love them where they are, and speak the truth to them in love.
Right.
Depending on what it is they need. And if they have issues with relationship, then we're going to tell them the truth about God's plan for relationships. And if they're having an issue with a pregnancy, we want them to know that God has a plan for them and that baby. And there's always a second chance, always, because of God. There is always a second chance to make a different decision and walk away from the past.
Yeah, I know, for instance, like, say if I had made a mistake ever,
I mean, that's a wild hypothetical,
theoretically.
yes, but yes.
even if I had, God can take that, and if you turn it over to Him, can turn that out to be a positive.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've talked to people who have got arrested for driving under the influence. And it was, for the person at the time was a horrible thing. They got caught, they lost their license. But then a couple of years later, they says, well, that's the greatest thing that ever happened to me,
Right.
because that was the thing I needed to get me to quit drinking. And now my life's, actually under control again. And so, it's a lot of horrible things seem to happen in our lives that we can't possibly understand how good is going to come out of it. Until sometime down the road.
That's right.
Sometimes you need something to shake you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a pregnancy is, the baby is not a mistake.
Right.
They made a mistake, the couple.
I was going to
And
go
they
back
might
to
have
the
gone
alien
about it-
thing again, but I guess I'll let that go. Yeah, go ahead.
They might have made a mistake, but the baby being conceived is not the mistake, because we believe in the sanctity of human life, that life is conceived because God chose it to be.
Right.
And that may sound weird, but the fact is God has a plan for every life that's conceived. And that's what we're able to tell the girls in one way or another. This is not for no reason. This is not a mistake. This is not chance. And there is something good that will come of it. James Dobson,
Right.
Dr. Dobson, he made a statement many years ago that I've hung on to, and I've said it to parents, usually, of girls who are pregnant, which is sometimes a crisis pregnancy is the very, very thing that is needed for a young person to make better choices for a better future.
It's a wake-up call.
It's a
It can be
wake-up, yep.
Now, you guys probably know this better than I do. One of the coolest ones was, and I'm going to forget the number, so don't hate me too much. But I think it was like the 7th child of this couple. I think they had, I don't know why it was, I think it was like, had all these medical issues. And to the outside observer, it would look like it was a mistake because there was that much problems with that kid, and it ended up being like Beethoven.
Oh, well, I know Beethoven's story because
Well,
I
yeah,
told it.
good,
I told
good.
it in Romania. They love Beethoven, and it was a great way for me to talk about the
Good,
sanctity
then you
of
can
life.
tell it because I forgot.
Well, basically, Mom and Dad were not well. I think one of them had tuberculosis, and one of them had gonorrhea. They had 3 children who were fairly handicapped in different ways. I think they had a blind child and another child with some problems, and so she became pregnant with number 4. And in our society, anybody would have looked at that couple and said, well, you're dying of tuberculosis, and you have an STD that could really hurt your baby, probably cause your baby to be blind. So why would you have this baby? And anyway, well, she had her baby because the choices were less in those days. And that baby turned out to be Beethoven. And his physical problems were related to theirs. But look at the gifting. Look at the incredible God-given gift that the man had, And we wouldn't have Beethoven, the music of Beethoven today.
That whole
Yeah.
flurry of music that people still
Yeah.
listen to today, so many years afterwards would not even be a part of our history if abortion was around then.
Yeah, it's true.
We
don't know who we're missing, do we,
No.
right now?
That's one of the things they say is
Yeah.
yes, you can get an abortion, but maybe that was the person God intended to cure cancer.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
We have no clue.
And to bring it down to reality, maybe that baby is what would give a very destitute family some hope.
Yeah.
Right, like right now it doesn't look hopeful because where are we going to get the money and how are we going to do this? But I have never met a woman, and you can probably confirm this, who regretted having her baby. I never met one
good.
in
My
30
mom.
years. I've never. Yeah, there's.
Well, she probably never met your mom.
Yeah.
No, in fact, we see so much maturity. Sometimes these young women come in and, it's all about Facebook and, the next party and, I got this I'm pregnant and maybe the dad's out of the picture and now she wants to go dating and she's, looking for that. And then by the end, she's this responsible, it's all about her child first. I don't need to date right now. I need to focus on my baby. This just happened this week. I had a client come in and it was this amazing transformation with her maturity level because there's something about having this baby grow inside you that has these young women realize, it's not about me anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem with the guys, though, is if you don't impart that same, I think it's pretty much instinctive, but if you don't foster it, you end up with fathers that still want to go out and party and really don't want to have anything to do with little kids because they're they're loud and they
sometimes
make
they come
noises.
around though. Sometimes they do, and
We do see
maybe
that,
it's
yeah.
not right away. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they haven't had good role modeling. But sometimes something snaps in them too, and they grow up, and maybe it's a little later than we would want it to be, or that
Sure.
the moms would want it to be. But at least it happens.
Yeah.
Which better late than never, because
Yeah.
sometimes there's never a dad.
I've certainly
So-
had friends who, they find out they're going to have a kid, and I'm thinking, oh no, and then they turn out to be really good parents, and they do you kind of see that evolution where they kind of grow up and rise to the occasion. Doesn't always happen, unfortunately, but I've certainly known people where that has happened.
I just
Right.
noticed your water bottle. What was it, like 25-gallon water bottle? Where'd you get that?
I get extremely thirsty, Gary. There's a store that specializes in these large
That
bottles.
sells those just to you?
Just to me. Yeah, I keep them in business. I'm doing my part for the economy.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I try hard.
Is that water from America?
Of course. That's some good American water right there.
Could be Polish.
This is the water of patriotism right here. That's why I drink it.
It could be Polish.
Oh, it's American. This is full American water.
Well,
Gary.
you have that Polish spring water. A lot of people drink.
What is it? The
Because then they had that. But remember we were talking before on that Polish
I'm trying to
vortex.
remember. Yes, the Polish vortex that made the
vortex
country
that came
cold.
with the winter and down into
Yeah.
the south there.
Yeah.
It was a polar
Oh,
vortex.
polar. It sounded like he said Polish.
I did.
Well, he did.
Polar, Polish, tomato, vowels, consonants, it's all the same.
Yeah. So anyway, they're never going to show up on the show again, are they?
They've been here before. They know
This
the
has
deal.
I
been,
would
this
think
has
so.
been very entertaining.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
see, there you go.
So
There you go.
you guys got some charity events coming up. We
Yes.
got to get to those before we
Yes,
run
we
out
do.
of time. Well, tell us about your charity things, because obviously you guys need a certain amount of money just to keep things going, so that stuff is available for those kids that are coming and needing help. But
Well, we depend on donations from individuals, churches, and businesses.
yeah,
And we have a lot of that, but I would say about half of our income comes from our fundraisers.
okay.
And we have 3 of them a year. There's one coming up right now that is usually kicked off right around the time of Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, which this year is the 19th of January.
Right.
So different churches and organizations will hand out baby bottles. We didn't bring one.
We forgot.
Yeah. And people take them home for a couple of weeks and fill them with change and then bring them back. And it's pretty amazing. I think last year we raised $55,000.
So now those baby bottles
Change.
will be at some of the churches. You know any specific churches they'll be at?
Well, that might be a little hard for me to rattle off.
Because I know we tend to get them at the Congregational Church in Goffstown.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I just finished talking with the pastor about that, yes.
Okay, so we should get those
Yeah,
there.
Yeah. Oh, I should have brought him over. You could have taken him. I think he's coming to get him tomorrow.
No,
So-
he needs to get out.
Yeah.
You know.
I believe the Assembly of God Church in Auburn, Manchester Assembly, or whatever they call themselves now, does it. There's a lot, but you know what? I'm drawing a blank. About 26 churches in Manchester do it.
Wow.
Do the
That's great.
campaign, the baby bottle benefit.
If I can just
So-
add, what we love about this particular fundraiser is that the whole family can get involved, because little kids can take a portion of their allowance, or if they find a dime on the street, they can put it in the baby bottle and feel like they're contributing. You know, lots of
Right.
times fundraisers are adults, you know, giving things, but
Yep.
with the baby bottle, everybody can get involved.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool for the little kids.
Yeah, that is.
How do you draw a blank?
Well, if you
Now, if you
worked
think
at,
about it,
if
if you
you
had a
worked
blank
at the
piece of
CareNet
paper-
Pregnancy Center, you would too. Actually,
use,
I spent the entire day talking to pastors about this, and I can't even tell you who I talked to. That's pretty awful.
About drawing a blank? Well, you just use white paper and draw with
help.
white out.
Raymond Baptist.
That's a good idea.
Huh?
Raymond
Yeah.
Baptist, Epping Bible Baptist, Calvary Bible Church in Derry, Lifeway Church in Derry.
If anybody's church doesn't have it, they can call
Yeah,
us
they
and we'll
can
give
call
them baby
us.
bottles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
they can
probably
just
the
call,
easiest way to
and we'll
say it.
and we'll talk to their pastor or whatever. I send out a letter every year in December about this, so
Right, right,
churches are
right.
made aware of it's coming up. But
Yeah, but there's so much
Yeah.
stuff going on in church, especially during
Yeah.
December, that they might. So
And
if any churches want to get in touch with, they can call CareNet and talk to
Yeah.
Bronda or whoever, and about getting baby bottles and letting them
Yeah.
go home with your congregation to
yeah,
collect money for a very important
Yeah.
program. 'Cause
And
you
it's
guys
an
do
easy
really
way.
good work.
yeah.
Thank you.
We have a walkathon in May, which is a typical walkathon. People get sponsors and walk, and we do well with that. It's kind of a fun, down-to-earth event. And then we have a banquet, you know, a nice evening in a beautiful facility.
When's that one?
That's in October, usually around the 18th
Oh
of
yeah,
October.
I missed it this year. I meant to go and I missed it.
Yeah.
I got brain damage. You know that?
I do know that.
Yeah.
Are you on our mailing list? Because maybe that would just solve the problem.
I probably am on your mailing list. I would
I don't
think I
think
was on your
that's-
mailing
It's
list.
not going to fix his brain.
No,
No.
probably not.
Do you want us to call you?
No, don't promise that. It might not happen.
Yeah, if you.
I did it
You
with
would do
another.
it- you did it with
I-
somebody.
I did it with another political figure, yes, and he did come.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that would be a lot easier.
Oh, and if you
I'll put you on my calendar,
and if you,
Gary.
and
Just
if you
lean
are an
into it.
elected official, you are an elected official, right? We have you stand up at the banquet. We all clap.
Yes. Yeah.
You're a ham. You'll
Yes,
enjoy
I know.
that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Give me a chance to talk. It'll be really
but
fun.
no pot jokes.
What?
Yeah, no pot
No
jokes.
pot jokes.
Polish jokes, okay?
No.
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 Oh, I guess you can't joke about the weather.
No.
Huh, that's weird.
So I
Polish
tell you,
vortex.
I grounded my son. Did I tell you that, right?
Yes.
I grounded my son the other day.
The 28-year-old or the 35-year-old?
The 25-year-old.
You grounded him? How'd
Yeah.
you do that?
Well, I tied a wire to his toe and then tied that to the lightning rod.
Okay. That might work on a 28-year-old.
But anyway, I just thought about that the other day and it struck me so funny. It's because way my mind works, if you want to call it that.
Random.
It's wicked random, And I come up with these thoughts, and they just crack me up. They're so bad.
That's how all the great comics work.
I
really.
don't know about great, but
I remember Richard Pryor used to say that. He just, stuff would he'd think of it and it would crack him up.
I went into the Bridge Cafe today, and I got a muffin, and it had banana. And I always stay away from anything with banana because that usually means it has nuts in it. And I don't know why I came up with this, but I says, if it has nuts in it, if you're wrong, I will haunt you. I says, but it won't be a regular haunting where it's scary. It's going to be like you'll hear this voice telling bad jokes all the time. You'll be sitting there trying to make coffee and you hear, hey, how many Polacks does it take to go ice fishing? Things like that, Anyway.
Did they get it right?
They did. It didn't kill me because that's why I'm here.
Yes.
Well, that's actually not why I'm here.
Or
but that's
are
why,
you?
Yeah, that could be true. It's hard to tell. What other? So you got the baby bottles coming up. You got the dinner in October.
The walk in May.
The walk in May.
Yeah.
And where's the walk? Is it a walk in Manchester?
Veterans Park.
Okay.
And then we have one in Nashua too, a separate walk. In Greeley Park in Nashua. We do 2 walks, actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we found that people don't like to travel.
Right. Well, having 2 of them's not
I don't
bad.
know why they go shopping down there and stuff, but it just seemed to be better for us to
Probably
make it
easier to
local.
organize,
Yeah.
isn't it? With less people, kind of more central, having it 2 separate.
Yeah.
How long is the walk? I mean, if it's
2 miles. 2 miles, yeah.
Do you got like one that's only like a 1/8 of a mile where I just kind of go like maybe like you got like ice cream vendors I could go from one to the other?
Well, we have people that walk a little bit every day that adds up to 2 miles, and then with integrity they can turn their money in.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Oh, there you
I'm
go,
a
yeah.
politician, and integrity's not one of my strong suits.
Have some ice cream while you're walking.
That's a good idea.
There you go. Just see. I'm a problem solver.
In our case, it'll be a hot dog and not an ice cream.
Yes, we
though.
have
Hot
hot
dogs. You have hot dogs.
Hot dogs,
Oh,
yes.
there you
I love
go.
hot
And
dogs.
face painting if you
Yeah,
want
face
to get
painting.
your face painted.
It'd be like a
Yeah.
tattoo, but less permanent.
Well, there
right?
you go. There
I
you
could
go.
do that.
Yeah. Well, it's just this
Do they do
washes off.
SpongeBob? Because I really wanted the SpongeBob.
You like SpongeBob? Yeah, they'll do SpongeBob, I think.
SpongeBob on your face.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Because it's May, right?
Yes,
Correct.
May.
So I
May
could have my
10th.
motorcycle.
It's
I
the
could
day
be
before
like
Mother's
driving
Day.
around Elm Street with SpongeBob on my face. That would be
Those who see you might give them a nice little chuckle.
Oh, you know what's really cool?
That's what he wants.
I know.
You know what's actually we gotta stop right,
out
but
of
just
time,
this
yeah.
quick story. This is actually pretty cute. Little kid, I forget how I don't know how old he was. I think it was like 3 or 4. Lost his mom in a mall, and the problem was little kid doesn't know anybody, but he saw a guy dressed up as Flash. And
Yeah.
a lady dressed up as Wonder Woman, and he knew who they were, so he went over to them and said, "I can't find my mommy,"
Oh,
but he
that's
trusted
cute.
them because he knew who they were, you know.
Yeah.
You're the
pretty awesome.
superheroes. There you go. Well, we're the Manchester superheroes. CareNet
Yes.
Pregnancy Center.
Yes, that's a good transition. We got a call, but I don't think we got time to take
We gotta
it.
go. Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much, ladies. So call the CareNet Pregnancy if you're a pastor. Call them up and get some bottles for your congregation. These people do need a lot of help because they do a lot of good. Thank you very much,
Yes,
ladies.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.